All right, everybody, we have another true crime for you. This one involves two lost girls,
a preacher,
and a case solved by DNA that was 20 years in the making. This is the case of Lost and Found. Now, on August 1st of 1999 in Ozark, Alabama, a vehicle was found in one of a road, kind of an off-the-path road in Ozark, Alabama. This was a Mazda 929 belonging to J.B. Beasley and her family. This vehicle, when they found it, actually had two girls in the trunk of the car. The two girls in the trunk of the car were J.B. Beasley and Tracy Hollett. They were both found to be shot in the head. They found a casing on the body of J.B. Beasley in the car. They didn't find the second casing. In the bodies were also, they had briar scratches on it as if they kind of had been out in the forest as well. And this is where the case starts.
and these girls were only 17 years old.
17 years old. And when you have a case like this, what you're going to look at, you're going to obviously quarantine off the scene. You're going to be looking for footprints, tire tracks. You're going to be looking for fingerprints on the car. You're going to be looking for DNA. Then you're going to start, this is back before cell phones, so now you got to kind of track why they were out there in the first place. What helped with the investigation is 6 hours prior, they had gotten a call from their mother of J.B. Beasley saying, "My daughter is missing." And unfortunately, the car that they found and these two girls were indeed the daughter of J.B. Beasley's mom, who called and said, "My daughter's missing."
Well, and they didn't actually have cell phones.
They didn't have cell
No,
phones.
this was 1999, so a little bit before, definitely before smartphones. Cell phones were kind of just getting on the scene for normal folks to have.
So what happened was these two girls, J.B. Beasley on July 31st, 1999, turned 17 years old, and her best friend Tracy decided that they were going to go out to Ozark, a few other places for her birthday. In the process, they get lost. And about 11:20 at night, they pull over to a convenience store to figure out where they're going. And by the time JB calls her mom and says, "Mom, we're lost, but I think we know our way now. We know our way," because this is before GPS. You're on those back roads, and if you're not familiar with them, you don't know where you're going. There was also video footage they were able to pull from this convenience store that showed them using the phone, talking. A witness reported seeing the girls there at the store.
The witness said the girls seemed worried. They were, worried because they had missed their curfew and they were lost and they weren't trying to get home. So
the mom says the call came in about 11:35, and she says that her daughter says, "Hey, Mom, we've been lost, but we now know our way home, we think, so I should be there within the hour." Well, the problem is she didn't show up. Mom went to sleep. By the time she wakes up in the morning, car's not there, JB's not there. She calls the police, and then the police end up a few hours later finding her vehicle out on this road in Ozark, Alabama, and in the trunk of the car were the two girls.
that is just every parent's worst nightmare.
Nightmare.
Your kids are out, they're teenagers, they're old enough to drive, they're running around, it's a birthday, you hope they're being good kids and responsible, and it's just horrible. It's horrible to think.
Well, and this was a small town, and this just rocked the community. I mean, JB was a fun-loving girl. Tracy, same thing, you can tell, two nice girls. They were just out trying to celebrate the birthday. Tracy's dad had actually died when she was 4, but they're just two normal girls. And so it really rocked this small community. Immediately, everybody became involved in trying to figure out what was going on with the case. What they did find in processing the scene is they actually found DNA on J.B. Beasley. They found semen in her, which indicated that she had possibly been violated or maybe consensual, I don't know, but there was DNA. Not only was there DNA found in her, it was found on her underwear and her clothes, on her shirt as well. So now you have DNA. My understanding is they tested the DNA against a ton of different people, 500 people in the community. During the investigation, this guy comes up, Johnny Barentine. He was a local there. He claims that he had witnessed a guy with those girls. He claims he gave him a ride. But by the way, Johnny Barentine had since died. I don't remember what year he died, but he says, hey, I drove these girls around. And the police think his story is suspect, so they actually start investigating him. They actually arrest him and charge him with 2 counts of murder. And guess what? The jury did not find that there was enough evidence, large in part because the DNA on JB did not match Johnny Barentine. So they were back to the drawing board again.
Kind of interesting why he would talk about it when he wasn't the guy. Like, what makes people do that kind of stuff?
Well, to your point, there was they put out this reward, and because of the reward, there was a guy from Michigan who called in and said that he had information and that he had killed the girls. So then they investigate him and realize it wasn't him either. So he was just trying to clout chase or something. Why would you say you killed the girls?
Well, it's kind of like the same question. Why do these guys who are on death row have wives and girlfriends who chase after these guys in prison? Like, something in the mental realm there is not all there. I don't know. It's you've got to be a little bit screwy to do that or to pursue a relationship with the death row inmate. Like, people do weird stuff.
So they're just striking out on this stuff. And the case goes cold and goes colder and colder. As a matter of fact, it went cold all the way up until 2018. So in August of 2018, the Ozark Police Department decides they're going to now send the DNA that they've had since 1999, August 1st of 1999. They're going to send this DNA off to a lab in Virginia.
The reason they thought they should do that was because they had done that for the infamous Golden State Killer.
Right.
And so they found that guy and they're like, hey, if it was able to find the Golden State Killer, maybe we could use this and find whoever killed these girls.
So the FBI has a system called CODIS. We've talked about it, actually talking about the Guthrie case that's going on, the missing mother, Nancy Guthrie, that the DNA, when you have a DNA sample, you have to run it through CODIS. And CODIS is this system where DNA is stored. But the problem with the CODIS is if you haven't been arrested, if you've never given a DNA sample, you're not going to be in CODIS. So what a lot of these people have started doing is, and we've had other cases where they go back through and they run it against possible relatives that maybe submitted something through Ancestry.com or 23andMe. And that's what the Ozark Police Department decides to do. They send it to this company in Virginia. It was Parabon Nanolabs. And they come back and there's some hits on some family members. And they end up tracking down a guy named Cole McCraney. And he's 45-year-old truck driver, no criminal record. He's a pastor, a preacher. And
lived only a mile from where the girls' bodies were found at the time. Yes.
So now they start to say, okay, he lived in the area and there's a possibility this could be him. So they ask him, hey, will you come in and give us a DNA sample?
And his wife said, yes, you should definitely give them a DNA sample, honey.
Yes, she did, because she assumed that he would be innocent. So he comes in, and this man right here, Coley McCraney, comes in, gives a DNA sample. Guess what?
It was a match.
It was a match. It was a match for the semen that they had found on JB Beasley. So the semen they found on her clothes, on her underwear, and in her, they realized that that was a match to this man. Now, initially, he says, I don't know those girls. And that
likely story.
Yeah, likely story. They end up arresting him in March of 2019. So here we are, almost 20 years later, they arrest him for the murder of these 2 girls. Now, it goes to trial in April of 2023. So he sits in jail probably because of COVID from 2019 to all the way to 2023. And one of the things that they said was, I mean, really the evidence they had on him was the DNA.
Yeah.
And initially, like I said, he had claimed that he didn't know them. But then he starts to say he actually testifies on his behalf, which you don't see a lot.
Well, he testified for himself and he admitted in trial, and I don't know that they knew this before, but he actually had met JB, but as Jennifer at a mall.
Is what he says.
Yeah.
And that they had actually met that night. They came to see him. They had met. They had had consensual sex in the truck, in his truck. And then he didn't see him anymore. So he admits that now he was with them. He admits that he had sex with them. So they charge him with the 2 counts of murder. And they also charged him with sexual assault as well.
I get that, but his story doesn't really add up because where was Tracy during that? Like, was she just in the other room? Like, bystander? Like, but it was in his truck. So, like, where was she? Like, I don't know. I don't really buy it. So
there was a key piece of the trial, though. So we didn't mention this. A few years there was a Renee Crum. She was a former police officer in that area. And she had made an allegation that she had heard another police officer, while drunk, making an admission that he had killed the 2 girls, that he had killed J.B. Beasley and Tracy Holland.
Why does everybody want to be guilty for this? I don't understand.
So Renee Crum, this information's out there. They planned on bringing her in as a witness, but in the pretrial testimony, you go through these pretrial testimonies, she recanted her testimony. Now, I don't know if the police went and said, hey, this isn't going to be good for the agency, or you don't have any proof, or whatever it is. She recants that. This was a big piece of their case they planned on using. But in the end, they had nothing, and there was no other information them to go on. I don't even know the names of the police officers.
But how would you accuse a police officer of doing it when this other guy is a DNA match?
Exactly.
And had all the opportunity. Like, it just sounds like she realized she was going to be perjuring herself and maybe not do it.
But in the end, they go to trial, and on April 26th, Coley McCraney is found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. They've made appeals in 2023 for a new trial, and the defense attorney filed a motion with Alabama's Court of Criminal Appeals, and he's currently serving his sentence right now, life in prison.
I mean, it makes sense to me why he became a preacher. I think a lot of times people, they do something terrible and then they feel like they got to make up for it by doing a lot of good. That's why I think you see a lot of people who are like school principals or clergy or different things. They think, make a pact with God, like, I'll change my ways. I won't do anything bad ever again. I'll dedicate my life to you. I'm guessing that this guy had something like that happening to him.
So there's a lot of
internally.
I was looking into it, and there was people that thought different things. They obviously the DNA puts him on the scene, points him. He can't deny that. He claims it was consensual. Then there's this guy who claimed he was near the scene, but the DNA didn't match.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean he didn't kill him, but he's no longer here, so there's no way of really knowing. You're not supposed to profile, but he looks more like a criminal than this guy did. But we'll never know. There's people that believe that this was the guy who did it, that they didn't get the right person.
Yeah.
There's also the police officer. Did he or did he not do it?
Well, did they ever find a murder weapon?
They never found a murder weapon.
Okay, that's a problem.
They only found one casing. In the end, the evidence that they had was really boiled down to the DNA and being able to put on the scene. Did he have the means and opportunity? Yeah, he lived close to the area. He admitted that he had known the girls. He admitted of having sexual relations with one of the girls. Turns out it looks like it was, they didn't have evidence that it was non-consensual, but they did have the DNA there. And the fact that they were both murdered would allude to the fact that it was probably non-consensual. But
the moral of the story is
What is there a moral? In the end, we may never know.
Stay safe out there. Don't go running around the backwoods and talking to strangers. And be careful. If you hook up with someone in a truck randomly and they end up dead later, you're going down for it.
Yeah. I mean, the DNA. DNA is closing more cold cases right now.
Yes.
And they can preserve it for a long time. The DNA on this one ultimately, hold that one for me, please. Ultimately costs, these two girls lost their lives. This man was
basically lost his
guilty.
life too.
Yeah.
So,
and his wife is without the husband.
His whole family is ruined, and these girls' families will never get over losing these girls. There's a memorial there for them, and it's hard.
We talk about it all the time. It's unnatural to lose your children before you, especially knowing that in their last few moments, they probably were pleading for their mom, their dad, pleading for their lives. And these two young girls with a bunch of future ahead of them were taken far too early.
Well, my heart goes out to all those families that are left behind.
Coley McCraney was found guilty of it. I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah.
Do you think it was him? Do you think it was Johnny Barentine? Was there a plausible that it could have been somebody else? But in the end, somebody was found guilty for it. So that's why it was lost and found. They were lost. They were found. Unfortunately, the way they were found was not the type of find you want.
Right.
Let us know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next true crime video.